The city of Hobbs is one of 6 municipalities around New Mexico to adopt an ordinance limiting access to abortion. We wanted to understand how the measure came to be and why, and where city leaders think it may be headed. So I caught up with Mayor Sam Cobb to ask. Hobbs Mayor Sam Cobb, thank you for joining us on New Mexico in Focus. We're curious about some things that are going on there. Of course, Hobbs City Commission voted on November 7th last year to adopt an ordinance amending Title V of the Hobbs Municipal Code requiring abortion providers in Hobbs to comply with federal law. And that was citing, of course, the Federal Comstock Act. Why did you feel this was a necessary step for your community?
I think it was, our response was based on what we had received from our citizens. They had come to us with some concerns as the Roe versus Wade decision came down, and then there was a lot of discussion about abortion providers in Texas moving to communities in New Mexico, and also communities on the eastern side naturally. From a logistics standpoint, stood probably a greater possibility of having an abortion provider come to the community. With that request from the citizens, we engaged our legal department, and they did some research into the Comstock law and found that it is federal legislation that has not ever been repealed by the federal government that provides it under a business operation or business registration license, certain compliance to certain federal statutes as it relates to the use of the medical devices and the drugs that can be used for that purpose. And so it relates to interstate commerce. And so with that in mind, we had a number of public meetings. We had several hundred of our citizens come to those public meetings and testify in favor of the ordinance. We had approximately less than 10 individuals that came to the commission and testified against the ordinance. So, you know, really those of us in elected positions, contrary to popular belief sometimes, we're supposed to reflect the wishes of our constituents. And so that's what we did.
Are those penalties inclusive of criminal penalties as well, if they do violate those standards that have been laid out?
You know, as it certain, what I understand, they would lose their business registration. I'm not aware in the ordinance itself that it provides for criminal penalties.
Mm-hmm. Lee County, of which of course Hobbs sits, has a similar ordinance on the books. It was actually kind of put together about the same time. Did you consult with Lee County? And was there a sense of, again, you're working with the same constituents and with the same desire in the county as you would in the city of Hobbs? Was there a way you guys worked together on this?
No, there was no. I did not meet with any of the leadership of the county. Mm-hmm. Our ordinance was purely based on what we had received from our constituents in the public meetings that we had. I know that there were another community, Clovis, was much in the same situation about the same time. Mm-hmm. I've had some conversations with the mayor of Clovis and informed him of what we were going to do, and we sent him a draft of our ordinance. But any of the other communities, I personally, nor I'm aware of any of my commissioners that had any direct communication with any of the other commissioners or elected officials on those other communities.
You know how in the bigger cities we like to poll on everything. I'm curious if you polled in Hobbs on this, either privately or the municipality itself.
We did not. I mean, we had literally standing room only. We had hundreds of people that came to our commission meeting. That's a pretty good poll within itself. And so that is how we based our decision making, was on that. And of course, if you look at the polls across the state, it's pretty evenly divided, the abortion issue, both on the national level and on a statewide level. It's a very, very difficult situation in our country. And hopefully we can come up to an amicable solution, but it's been very polarizing, there's no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Pastor Mark Lee Dixon, has been helping lots of municipalities around the country get these ordinances squared away. Was he a help for you folks on this one?
No, our legal team drafted the ordinance. He reviewed it and said he felt like it was a very well-written document. But as far as him providing us, you know, any language regarding that. We relied on our legal team here. We have a very competent legal staff. They researched it themselves. They looked at case law. They looked at a lot of different things. And so the ordinance that was drafted internally. It was not provided by an outside source.
And that includes their attorney, Jonathan Mitchell. Was he of a help on this at all?
Only from a moral support, not anything regarding the drafting of the ordinance.
You see what I'm leading up to is a lot of the criticism, it feels like it's being driven by out-of-state people. Would you agree with that? Or am I hearing you correctly at the beginning that this is strictly driven from the dirt of Hobbs, so to speak, like right there without the outside help?
During our public meetings, we do not limit it only to Hobbs residents. We had some residents from Texas, I would say maybe 4 or 5, a couple from Lubbock, a couple from Odessa. But that was not the majority of the people that were involved in testifying to the commission regarding their desires for this particular ordinance. So it was not really driven by out-of-state folks.
It's kind of broaden out just a little bit here and talk about values. And, obviously you talk to a lot of folks in the area and Hobbs and the surrounding area. Is there a sense that their values are just not being reflected in Santa Fe, abortion aside for a second? Is that part of the problem here? Is just that values are not being reflected in certain parts of New Mexico out of Santa Fe, sir?
Without a doubt. New Mexico is a very diverse state, both in demographics and geography. And certainly the southeastern corner of the state has always been a very conservative part of the state. And one not being better than the other, there are differences of opinion as you go across the state and in different areas of the state. So I think our actions reflected the wishes of our constituents. And it's not to say one's right and one's wrong, but we're here to represent the people in our community that have elected us to be in these positions.
Are you personally hoping to get a case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court at the end of the day?
I really don't. I mean, this was not done as a shot across the bow to try to create a political division. It was merely done as a response to our local community and their desire to have something on the books regarding the operation of an abortion clinic within our community.